Imagine a world where powerful nations finally stand up against endless injustice in the Middle East. Protests erupt across cities like Sydney, with crowds demanding an end to the suffering in Gaza. Polls show Australians, especially the youth, fed up with the status quo, pushing for real change. But now, a seismic shift is happening. On August 11, 2025, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese declared that Australia will formally recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly next month. This bold step aligns Australia with allies like France, the United Kingdom, and Canada, all moving to acknowledge Palestinian rights amid the ongoing crisis. Albanese framed it as a direct response to the humanitarian disaster in Gaza, where over 60,000 lives have been lost since October 2023, and aid restrictions have led to widespread starvation and despair. This recognition is a major diplomatic setback for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his administration's policies. Albanese didn't hold back, accusing Netanyahu of being in denial about the devastating consequences for innocent people in Gaza. He highlighted how Israel's actions, including defying international calls to allow sufficient aid, have only prolonged the cycle of violence and suffering. The Prime Minister pointed out that Netanyahu's response to the announcement was predictable, labeling it shameful and claiming it elevates terrorism. Yet it ignores the root causes of the conflict, like the long-standing occupation of Palestinian territories. Key to Australia's decision are commitments from the Palestinian Authority, ensuring no involvement from groups like Hamas in future governance, demilitarizing Gaza, holding democratic elections, and recognizing Israel's existence. These steps, Albanese argued, pave the way for a genuine two-state solution, isolating extremist elements and building momentum for peace. It's a practical move, not just symbolic, as it adds Australia's voice to the 147 UN members already recognizing Palestine, pressuring holdouts like the United States. The backlash from Israel was swift and aggressive. Netanyahu compared the situation to hypothetical attacks near Australian cities, a tactic Albanese dismissed as out of touch with the reality on the ground. Israel's ambassador echoed this, insisting peace comes from abandoning terror. But critics see this as deflection from Israel's own role in escalating tensions through settlement expansions in the West Bank and restrictions on aid. Even domestically, Australia's opposition leader Susan Ley criticized the move as breaking bipartisan tradition, vowing to reverse it if elected. But polls reveal otherwise. 45% of Australians support recognition now, rising to 57% among younger voters. Massive protests, like the March for Humanity across Sydney Harbour Bridge, have amplified these voices, showing public outrage over the toll in Gaza. Albanese noted his discussions with Netanyahu were civil but fruitless, underscoring the need for a political, not military, resolution. Foreign Minister Penny Wong informed U.S. counterparts as a courtesy, highlighting the growing isolation of Netanyahu's stance. This announcement weakens Netanyahu globally, exposing the hypocrisy in his government's approach. As more nations join, it signals the end of unchecked aggression and a push toward justice. Australia's move isn't alone. New Zealand is considering similar action by September. After 77 years since UN Resolution 181 promised a Palestinian state, the world is finally acting. For too long, the occupation has stifled hope, but now momentum builds. This is a victory for those seeking an end to the suffering, a rebuke to policies that prioritize control over humanity. Stay tuned as the UN Assembly approaches. Change is coming, and Netanyahu's regime can't ignore it forever.